Boxing King Media in association with Boxer at the Caldwell Gym today with Jordan the Thrill Gill. Are you still known as the Thrill?
I think so. Everyone keeps calling it me, so I'll keep having it on my shorts.
Good man. Been a while since I've seen you, Jordan. You last fought, I think, 7 months ago. It's been a long time, innit?
It has been a long time. Been a long time out the ring. Had a hand operation after the fight that I'd booked in before the fight. So it's been a long sort of rehab process from that. So that's been good to get over the line. Been good to get back using that hand and punching hard again.
Definitely. Obviously, last time out, I know you've talked about it in numerous interviews, but I'll just quickly run through the Kareem Gurfey fight. Obviously, it was a fight where you kind of went into a place where you've probably never been before. Would you agree? Physically, mentally?
I don't think so. Mentally, possibly, because it was like things were going wrong. Obviously, that was out of my control to a certain extent, and I had to find it from somewhere. But I mean, physically, I don't think it was the hardest fight I've ever had, and that sounds stupid. If you watch the fight back, it looks hard, but physically, I don't think it was the hardest fight I've ever had. But I think mentally, yeah, probably I had to dig deep.
Definitely. What's the biggest thing you learnt about yourself from that fight?
I think it's staying composed, staying calm, and looking for them shots. In the midst of the fire, when everything is going wrong, when the fire's around you, you got to keep calm and do what you have to do, and do what we drill in the gym every day. And it works, and there's a reason why we do drill it, because in when it matters, you have to pull out the bag.
And a special mention to Dave. Am I right in saying the shot that you took him out with, that's a shot you guys worked on in the lead up to that fight, in the changing rooms as well?
Yeah, not specifically that shot. We were drilling it, but we pretty much drill every shot. So any shot I hit him with, we could have said that we drilled, because we do everything. But I mean, like in regards to sitting on the ropes and defending, blocking, riding, a lot of people don't practice that stuff in sparring or on the pads. We do practice sitting on the ropes and being in a situation where if you have got an injury, or if your legs have gone, if you have taken a heavy shot, you are in that position where you have to block and ride at these shots. You can do it safely, or as safe as possible, and come back with your own counters.
Sound. Obviously, it's been like, 6-7 months. I know you said you've had a hand operation as well. Has that all been, the delay in you fighting again and fight announcement, is it all based on the fact that you're recovering from injuries, or have no fight offers come your way?
Yeah, no fight offers we've had. It's just all been about that injury. So I've been punching back for a couple of months now. So it's taken a little while to get over the hand up. The hand up was a big thing. So they took the bone out of my hip, put it in my hand. So did a full bone graft in my hand, which is a big deal. But I needed it for about 2.5, 3 years. So I finally got it booked in after a big fight and got it over the line. So now I've got 2 hands, and they're working well.
Good stuff. You're fighting, and I think it'd be fair to call him a Spanish boxing legend, KIKO Martinez, who, even though he's got a lot of losses on his record, but a recent form suggests that he's still bringing lots of smoke. So do you feel like you're in the prime of your career, and is the timing right for you to take that type of fight?
I think so. I feel like I'm coming into the prime. Like you said, he is a Spanish boxing legend. He's probably Spain's most successful boxer ever. So you can only commend him. You can only take your hat off to him. And from all accounts, I've heard that he's a real nice guy. So I'm sure after the fight we'll shake hands and get on well. But yeah, I think time is right for me. I feel good. I feel strong. All my injuries are healed up. I've got a good hand. My knee injury is sorted. I'm back running. I can run for this fight. I can do everything I need to do, and I'm feeling good. So time's on my side.
And how do you, I know the common sense approach is that you're going to have to outbox this guy for 12 rounds, because obviously it is a square-footed fighter, but he throws a lot of heavy shots. You've kind of been in the ring with different styles, obviously from your time at the Ingles and your career mainly. So are you thinking at some point you're going to have to trade with this guy, or are you thinking I'm going to have to box this guy for 12 rounds?
I think it's one of them. I'll prepare for anything. I prepare for having to stand and trade in parts, but I think predominantly I will be boxing. I think that's probably the safest option. We know, Kiko's got power. He broke Warrington's jaw in his last fight. He knocked out Galahad in the fight before that. and he's been on good form, like you said. He's got a lot of power. He will drop them left hooks in. He will swing the overhand right. So I've got to be careful of that, and pick my moments to stand and engage with him. So probably boxing, but don't be surprised if at points I have to show my strength and show my inside work as well.
And do you think Kiko still got it? Obviously, we talked about his recent form. To me, it suggests he's still got loads left in the tank. What do you think?
I think he has, yeah. I think if anything, he seems to hit a point in his career where it's like, if not, he's better than ever, because he's got the power, he's got the experience. I think the experience that he's using in the fights is rumbling forward and making light work of hard fights, and I think he's a dangerous fighter. I think he's one of them guys that you could probably walk into a care home in 50 years' time and see him, and you won't want to fight him then, because he's where I did a few interviews before, and they said describe Kiko Martinez, and I said he's a horrible little man, and I don't mean it as though he's a horrible little man, but I mean not many people are lining up to fight him, are they? Because he's a hard man to deal with. So yeah, I think he's a dangerous fighter.
And I think what you said there kind of sums it up. Because if you beat Kiko, you're kind of announcing yourself on the world stage. And as you told me earlier, that, it's a world title eliminator. So the IBF belt is with Josh Warrington. Could you foresee that? Obviously, I don't want you to look too past this fight, but could you foresee that?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, anything's possible in this game. You know yourself. I've got focus on Kiko Martinez. My full focus is on him. I've been training very hard. We're ready, and whatever comes after comes after. But my focus is on that. But I know Warrington's got a fight is mandatory. That's an hard fight in itself. So hopefully he comes through that, and we'll see what the landscape is next year. But boxing, the landscape can change within a matter of weeks.
Definitely. Other than that, are you happy with how things are? Obviously, Eddie's your promoter. How long is that going on for? Have you got like a long-term deal after this fight? Are there more, has Eddie spoken to you about what may come next?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of fights with Eddie. So got this one, and then the next one, either a world title shot or it's got to be a final eliminator, because there's nothing else sort of above that now. So yeah, no, I'm happy, working hard, training hard. Dave's doing a good job with me in the gym. I feel like I'm starting to peak, coming into my prime.
Good stuff. Just want to speak to you about a couple of other subjects. Did you watch Joyce Parker at the weekend?
I did. It was violent. Very, very good fight. There's not many heavyweight fights you see that are that good. So it was a pleasure to watch. Hats off to both men. They're both tough. Both very tough. Joyce is a hard man to beat, and he's gonna take some beating. I think he's a very good fighter, and I'd like to see him in with the big boys. I'd like to see him with Tyson Fury. I'd like to see him in with AJ, Usyk, all those guys.
I think he's been compared to a modern day George Foreman. I think it's probably a fair comparison. Tyson did a video today, and he said, in his words, he believes Joyce is the second best heavyweight on the planet. What do you make of that?
It's interesting. Obviously, I don't delve too much. I don't listen too much to what Tyson Fury says, because one day he might say one thing, and the next day it'll be completely different. I think he's a bit hot and cold, but I don't think he's the second best heavyweight. But I think if you put him in the top 5, no one can argue. And to be top 5 best in any division, is some feat.
Definitely. I know obviously you're a boxer, but I always like to get people's opinions. This whole Fury Joshua fiasco, nobody knows what's happening, but would you blame in that? Because obviously you got Tyson saying, I'm giving you a set amount of deadline, and then you've got AJ saying, well, I need to go through everything before I sign anything, and then Tyson's pulling the plug on it all. What do you think the blame lies with if that don't get made?
I think the blame lies with Fury, to be honest, because I mean, they've both been in big enough fights now, so many big fights between them, that they know that the process has to go through to get to the point of signing. And they know that you're not just going to put a random piece of paper in front of somebody at that level and they're going to sign it. They're going to have to go through all the stipulations and all the different things in the contract. And everything's going to have to be right for both fighters. And, from what I've seen, I haven't looked too much into it, but from what I've seen, Fury's sort of said, yeah, come on, let's fight. AJ's called his bluff. and he's called his bluff by agreeing to these stipulations that Fury set out. I don't know if it's 60-40 or 50-50 in the rematch or whatever. But he said, yeah, no problem. And he's called his bluff, and now he's sort of skirting around and saying, there's a deadline and stuff, this and that. He's sort of making unrealistic demands, in my opinion. And I think AJ's doing a good job of calling his bluff, and Fury's doing a good job of making himself look like he doesn't want to fight.
Interesting. And also, I think just moving on from that, just want to, before I let you go, Jordan, I just want to ask you about your experience of training in the gym, because it's weird now. Obviously, there's mainly young prospects, but you've been in this gym with Dave when there's been Tony Bellew, Derek Chisora, and I bet you've got loads of stories, and I bet loads of crazy things have happened in this gym, especially with people like Derek and Tony here. So I'll ask you about Derek first. Any crazy stories that you can share with us?
There's not a few. There's a few that I can't share with you, but there's a few that I can. I don't know. He was a good character. He's a big character in the gym. He always come in. He brought his own speaker. It was the loudest speaker I've ever heard. He always played decent music. He liked the Eagles. One of his famous ring walk tunes, and he was guaranteed excitement on fight night with him. But yeah, do you know what? There's not too much I can say about Derek.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff you don't want to say. But what about Tony? So what was it like when Tony walked into the gym, your first experience of working with somebody like him?
Tony was great. Tony was amazing. I loved training with Tony. For me, it was a shame that I only saw the last few fights of his career, because I think I would have learned so much more from him if I'd have been here for a few more years. I first met Tony. I come as a sparring partner for Gavin McDonnell, who was fighting Ray Vargas for the WC Super Bantamweight title. And I walked into the gym to spar, and I was told to get changed at the bottom of the gym. And there's a heavy bag there, and all I heard was this like big man punching this bag, and he was screaming at this bag. Dave was there timing him, and Bellew was hitting this heavy bag, screaming at it, calling it, like swearing at it, calling it the C word, dropping the bombs. And I just looked at him. I thought, this guy's mental. But obviously, the more I was in the gym, the more he took me to the side, showed me different things, and talked to me. And I watched him spar, watched his famous left hook, and tried to learn from it and develop it in my game.
Interesting stories, mate. Jordan, I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to share with us or tell us before I let you go?
Tune in October 29th. Big fight, biggest fight of my career against KIKO Martinez, European title defence, IBF Eliminator. It's going to be a good one.
I wish you all the best, Jordan.
Cheers, mate.